शांति शांति।
Austerity, bodily austerity, then speech austerity, then mental austerity. And all these three they have said in the last, that is the 17.17, they have said that when these austerities are done without looking for any gain, desireful gain, for fulfillment of any desire or reward or anything, when they are done like that, then they become sattvika austerity, they become sattvika tapas. Now there also we have discussed in detail what is the bhava samshuddhi, which is discussed as manasa tapas. There we had taken it to the level where the completely transforming the mindset by contemplating on the soul, ruminating on the soul, which actually comes to like jnana tapas. So truly speaking, this manasika tapas also will be finally ascending to the knowledge tapas. For a knowledge pursuer, finally a seeker who wants to know the truth, the ultimate tapas or ultimate austerity is jnana tapas or knowledge austerity. As in Bhagavad Gita it is said that yathaidhamsi samiddhognihi bhasmasat kurute arjuna jnanagni sarvakarmani bhasmasat kurute tatha. Yatha edhamsi, as the faggots, the wood, they are, when we put in the homakunda, in the yajna, they are completely burnt into ashes like by fire, like that. He says jnanagni, the fire of knowledge. The knowledge we always compare with fire. The fire of knowledge, it completely burns up all the sarva karmani, all the karma. Karma means actually desireful. Whatever desires are there, whatever doership and enjoyship we suffer from, that I want to do this, the ego and desire, they are all burnt by knowledge. So this jnana sadhana means constantly ruminating on the soul, the ultimate truth. As I said, the abheda darshanam jnanam, that going to that level of non-fragmentation, uniformity, the transcendental oneness. The more and more we contemplate on that, it actually purifies ourselves. The moment we find that some possessiveness, some constriction of the mind has come, immediately we bring in my identity, the concept of our real identity. And by the impact of the knowledge, those possessiveness, the constriction, the desires, everything is immediately removed, because knowledge, it burns off everything right then. It is not, we don't have to look for that I will practice this and after 2 years this will happen, I will become pure. It is not like that. The moment light is shown, the darkness goes. We don't have to, we put a light and we wait for the darkness to go. Does it happen like that? The moment we put the light, the darkness vanishes. Darkness is not there at all. So knowledge works like that. The moment the knowledge, the jnana comes, the revelation of the truth, it immediately burns off the ajnana, all the constituents of ajnana like desire, ego, constriction, etc. It works immediately. It is extremely powerful that way. So this tapas finally would lead us to jnana tapas. Actually, as I said earlier, that in the beginning of Mundaka Upanishad, Angiras says that tapasa chiyate brahma tato annam abhijayate. I have discussed it just the day before also, that by the whole objectitude, the whole appearance of the universe has come out of the tapas, out of austerity of Brahman. And what is happening? As if the Brahman is swelling by that austerity. Now in the next verse they said, Yas sarvajnaha sarvavid yasya jnanamayam tapaha. That is, what is that austerity then? The Brahman, the ultimate truth, transcendental truth or consciousness. What is the austerity he will do? It cannot be a bodily austerity, mental austerity, anything. The austerity itself is in knowledge. Yasya jnanamayam tapaha. So the whole universe has come out of the austerity of knowledge. That is why in our Rig Veda, the Mahavakya is Prajnanam Brahma. Prajnanam Brahma. That means the ultimate reality, the truth, is Prajnanam. This Prajnanam is not a dual knowledge that I am a knower, I am knowing the knowledge is different from me. It is not like that. Prajnanam means Prakrishta Jnanam. It means the Advaya Jnana. When we know that I am the knowledge, it comes like that. I become the knowledge. That knowledge and I, they are not different. The knowledge itself is the I. So this Prajnanam Brahma is our Rig Veda's Mahavakya. I don't think anywhere in the world they have mentioned like this. It mentions about the ultimate discovery, ultimate truth, that knowledge is the ultimate building block of the whole universe. The whole universe is subsisting on knowledge alone. It is appearing on knowledge alone. But this knowledge is the Prajnanam, that when we know ourselves, it is that knowledge of ourselves. It is not a dual knowledge. It is the consciousness. So we can say that the whole universe is appearing in consciousness. But the moment I say like that, people will think that the consciousness is also something which we are seeing, which is there. That is, it is also an object. Because by habit we are not able to get rid of the tendency to objectivize everything. We can know the consciousness only as the amness in us. It cannot be seen as a concept, as a different from me. It is not possible. It is what I am that is revealing the entire universe. Nothing else can reveal that consciousness. It has to be self-revealing. So this knowledge tapas is extremely powerful. It completely cleans us up. Jnanagni sarvakarmani bhasmasat kurute Arjuna. That this fire of knowledge, it completely burns off all the karmas, means all the desires, all the ego, all the doership, enjoyship, everything it burns off. That is the jnana sadhana. So as we proceed further and further on the path of knowledge, the whole tapas, it becomes knowledge tapas in the form of knowledge. And any tapas, we should know that any tapas will make it always will imbue, it will always increase the strength inside. It will make us more disciplined, more collected, more self-seated, more powerful also. Because any tapas should work against our natural tendency of indulgence. Normally we are always, all the sense organs, our mind, intelligence, everything is indulging in the objective universe. So they are becoming slave to the objective universe. So any austerity, whether it is fasting or whether it is jnana tapas, from any level of austerity, it should be to counter this centrifugal force, this going away, getting indulgence in the society, in the universe, in the objectude. So it is always this tapas will always give us more strength, inner strength. It will collect us, it will make us more collected, more disciplined. That we should remember. Any tapas, it is not for getting any reward at the end of something which will give us more of indulgence. It is not like that. For a seeker, any austerity he performs, it will be making him more anchored in his own real identity, making him self-seated, more poised, more collected. Now the other things which are coming, and the next one is samyak jnanena brahmacharyena nityam. This nityam is common to all, because it means always. For a seeker, these sadhanas cannot be only time limited, intermittent, that 1 hour a day or half an hour a day or 5 minutes a day, like that. It should continuously be there. Whether I am sitting for meditation or contemplation or reading for a few hours a day, that is the only sadhana period. It is not like that. For a wholesome seeker, everything he does throughout the day is sadhana for him. So it has to be this nityam satyena tapasa samyajnanena brahmacharyena hi esha atma labhyaha. It is nityam, every moment we have to do this sadhana. So the next comes samyak jnanena. Now jnana means knowledge. Why they have used samyak jnana? Because whatever we are reading or listening, or we are knowing what is there in the Upanishads, we know the concept of Atma, we know the concept of Brahman. These are all knowledge, okay, but they are not realized knowledge. They will not be able to sarva karmani bhasmasat kuruterjana. They will not be able to burn off all our impurities, all our desires. Little bit they can do, but they will not be able to do it efficiently. Unless the knowledge is associated with Bhagavad Gita says 20 qualities in 13th chapter, where it is the first chapter of the Jnana Yoga. In 13th chapter he says that from 13.7 to 13.11, in some books it is 13.8 to 13.12. It enumerates 20 qualities. It starts with amanitvam, adambhitvam, ahimsa, kshantirarjavam. Like that it goes. 20 qualities are enumerated there. Saying that in the last verse, in the 11th verse, he says, etad jnanam iti proktam, ajnanam yadatonyatha. Etad jnanam iti proktam. This aggregate of the 20 qualities, that is defined as jnana. So naturally we have to be thoughtful when these shlokas we read. We cannot just read it and leave it. If jnana is the knowledge of the Atma, well, I have understood what is Atma, what is Brahman, everything, and I have known. They said, no, it is not. It is not the real knowledge. It is not the samyak jnana. If it is knowledge, if it is samyak jnana, then you must be adorned with all of these 20 qualities. They must come to you. So, samyak jnana means when the jnana is associated with all these 20 qualities. In other sense, whatever qualities will come when a person becomes a knower, that is when he realizes the truth, the Atma, then he should automatically be adorned with these qualities. But same qualities, the jnana lakshana, they are called jnana lakshana. They can be used for sadhana also. Suppose I am a seeker. Now when I become a knower, I will have those qualities. Then can I wait for the becoming a knower and then suddenly all the 20 qualities will flood me? It cannot happen like that. It has to be a continuous process, that since this jnana means all these 20, adornment of all these 20 qualities, I should try to imbibe all these qualities right from now. And whenever such qualities are there, my aspiration should be to absorb those qualities. I should love those qualities, I should aspire for those qualities, and whenever I find that I am lacking in those qualities, immediately we have to remember that the knowledge means these qualities, and without that the knowledge is not going to be a samyak jnana, a realized knowledge. It is never going to be a realized knowledge. So whatever is the jnana lakshana, for a sadhak, for a seeker, they are the sadhana also, they define the sadhana also. I often give the example of suppose a hill is there, it is just like our Himalayas. Over that there is a glacier from which most of the rivers are coming from the same area, from the same glacier, all the Sapta Nadis our country is having. So here is the glacier from which all the rivers are coming down. We can consider this glacier as the realized knower, that at that point from here all the qualities will come down like the rivers. But when you are climbing up from the bottom of the mountain upwards, you take to any of the rivers, consider these rivers as the virtues, you take to any of the virtues, and as you proceed towards the peak, from the bottom as you proceed towards the peak, as you go nearer the peak, are not all the rivers coming closer, that whatever is coming down, the distance between them is coming closer. You might be approaching through one river, but other rivers are also coming closer to you. That means when we pursue one of these qualities also, truly speaking, all the 20 qualities will adorn us, because they are having the same base, same substratum. So we don't have to particularly think of each quality. If we are sincere in pursuing some of the qualities, then automatically all the qualities will come, reinforce us more and more and more. and when you reach the top, all the qualities are meeting there. So, this Samyak Jnana is very important. It means that our knowledge cannot be just a dry knowledge from the book or from the whatever we have listened. It must, if it is a Samyak Jnana, our personality must be adorned with the 20 qualities spoken of in Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter, verse number 7 to 11. Actually, this knowledge, the sadhana of knowledge is very interesting. Here, the sadhya, that means by sadhana whatever we are wanting to attain, say sadhana, that is whatever we are pursuing, then sadhya means what we want to attain, siddhi means what we become, and even the sadhaka, that means the seeker, pursuer, all are actually jnana. Jnana can be both. How? Because we are aiming at this ultimate reality, the knowledge of the ultimate reality, which is prajnanam brahma, as I said, that ultimately the ultimate building block, it's not a building block, the ultimate reality of the substratum of the whole universe is knowledge, but it is not the usual knowledge, it is the prajnanam. That is the sadhya, that is we want to attain that prajnanam. Now, to do that, when we start, the sadhana also is knowledge, jnana. What is that? These 20 qualities, and always trying to move from the multiplicity to unity, move from divergence to convergence, move from constriction to expansion. Everything is knowledge and knowledge alone. So, the sadhana also is knowledge. As in Kathopanishad it is said that prajnanena enam apnuyat. In Kathopanishad they have said prajnanena enam apnuyat. Prajnanena enam apnuyat. That means when they are saying it is to be attained by prajnana, that means when the prajnana is the ultimate, prajnanam is the ultimate. When we are saying that it can be attained through prajnana, prajnanena enam apnuyat, then we means that that becomes the sadhana also. So we are trying through that sadhana to reach that. And when we reach, then the siddhi, what is that siddhi? We call it aham brahmasmi, the other mahavakya. That means I am the Brahman. That is the siddhi. So what is that Brahman? The knowledge. So what is happening to the sadhak? He becomes the knowledge itself, as our Shastra says. Say, Brahmavit Brahmaiva Bhavati. Brahmavit Brahmaiva Bhavati. A knower of Brahman becomes Brahman. So, he automatically, as he progresses, he gets converted into the knowledge. That means he understands that here is his real identity is that prajnanam. So, this is the interesting part of knowledge, that as we see of knowledge. Now the next one, before going to the next one, this Samyak Jnanena, we can look at it in various, because if we understand this, we have understood many things, we have understood the truth also. In other way of looking at it is that we generally say that to become fit for this knowledge, this spiritual knowledge, one must have certain qualities, which we say sadhana chatushtaya, the fourfold pursuits, sadhana, the fourfold pursuits. It is pursuit as well as qualities also, insignia. Now, the fitness for knowledge, we say that a person is fit to receive this knowledge when he has enough of this sadhana chatushtaya. That means his personality must be adorned with all these fourfold sadhana. Unless they are there, he will not be able to absorb knowledge and hold knowledge. Neither he will be able to make it functional, nor he will be able to retain it. He may understand intellectually, but that will not work. That intellectual understanding will not work. That might be initial, but it has to work and completely transform our whole personality, our whole being. So, the first of that sadhana chatushtaya, the fourfold sadhana chatushtaya, they are called Viveka, Vairagya, Shamadamadi Shadga Sampatti and Mumuksha. We start with Viveka, then Vairagya, then Shamadamadi Shadga Sampatti. It is, Sampatti means wealth. See, for ordinary people the wealth is their money, their property, their manpower, their position, their fame. These we consider to be wealth. But when we become a seeker of truth, these are not wealth at all. They will only take our mind away. So the real wealth there are some inner qualities, not the external wealth at all. What are they? See, Viveka means discrimination. It is said, Nityanitya Vastu Viveka. That means always, a seeker always has to differentiate between what is permanent and what is temporary. Or at least, let us say, what is long-term auspicious and what is a short-term pleasant. As I said earlier, Shreyas and Preyas. That means Shreyas, although it might be initially not very pleasant, but it will take me to the ultimate auspicious goal. Whereas Preyas, it might be initially very pleasant, I like it, but it will take me away from the auspicious goal. This always having the discrimination that what is the Shreyas in it and what is the Preyas. You are given in a situation, you have to take the decision, shall I walk the path A or shall I walk the path B? So you have to find out whether A will take me to Shreyas or B will take me to Shreyas. A may not be very pleasant, but it will take me to Shreyas. B might be appearing to be very lucrative, but it will take me away from the Shreyas. So we have to make a decision at that point. So the buddhi must be always working for finding out where lies the Shreyas. As in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was not able to find out the Shreyas. In the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the 7th verse, he says, Karpanya dosho apahata svabhavaha prichhami tvam dharma sammudha chetaha yat shreyasyat nishchitam bruhi tanme shishyasteham shadhimam tvam prapannam. Previous to that, Arjuna was very egoistic. He was actually, in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was actually preaching Krishna, that if we fight this war, this will happen, that will happen, so many adharma will happen, everything he was only preaching. But then after, when Krishna started scolding him, giving him a good dressing that you are fearful, you are coward and all those things, then he came down, his ego became humbled. And then he is coming out with the confession. Without that confession, without that surrender, Bhagavad Gita message would not have been there. It is resting on that 7th sloka of 2nd chapter, the Arjuna's mindset. If he had not got that mindset, if he had continued with the mindset what he had in the first chapter, then Bhagavad Gita discourse would not have been possible. Krishna would not have given it. So there he says that Karpanya dosho apahata svabhavaha, that my mind is, I am haunted by Karpanya dosha. Karpanya means miserly. It is not only regarding money. We are not able to appreciate others' qualities. That is Karpanya. The mind is not liberal. The mind is not able to take things with a liberality. It is always constricted, selfish, looking for this gain, that gain. That is the Karpanya dosha. It has a very small vision, constricted vision. So he says that Karpanya dosho apahata svabhavaha. My mind, oh Krishna, I have understood, my mind is absolutely constricted. I thought that I am great, I am powerful, but really I now understand that my mind is absolutely constricted. Prichhami tvam dharma sammudha chetaha. Dharma sammudha, samyak mudha chetaha. Prichhami tvam dharma sammudha chetaha. That I am absolutely confused about dharma. What is dharma and what is adharma? Dharma sammudha. That is why I am asking you. That is, I am not able to understand which way, where lies my auspicious goal. Yat shreyasyat nishchitam bruhi tanme. Where lies the shreyas? You tell me without any ambiguity. Nishchitam bruhi tanme. You tell me without any ambiguity where lies my shreyas. Now see, he is a seeker of shreyas. Here it is he is confirming that my mind is constricted. So I am not able to understand where lies Shreyas and where is Preyas. But I really, O Krishna, I am a seeker of Shreyas. Yat Shreyasyat Nishchitam Bruhitan. You tell me where lies my Shreyas. And why should you tell me? Shishyasteham. This is the first time Arjuna said that I am your disciple. All along he had been his friend and he was behaving at the same level. Here he became humble. The humility is the first criterion for anybody to become seeker. When we understand that we know nothing, we are not able to find out the path at all.